actually presentation. It was more than a speech. It was a presentation, and it was beautiful. And I want to just mention to you, if you can pronounce the word nuclear, I suggest that you run for president because you were very inspirational.
Thank you.
Some of the things that you said, I want to ask you one question. Is it possible, literally, to house everyone? Because some people may not be able to handle even a gift. Is there an issue with that?
You know, not very long ago in our country, we thought there were lots of people that we couldn't house. People who were with mental illness, people who were lying on our streets, living in encampments. We didn't think we could do it. With new innovative initiatives going on, we've moved that from about thinking that we could do 15%, and we now do 85%. So there are some people now, some of us, or some folk think it's not possible to house them. It's only a matter of innovation. If we get creative enough, there is no reason for anyone in America to be out on the street, living in an encampment, living in an abandoned building, or in a shelter. We are increasingly learning how to house everybody. So if it's a matter of innovation, we can get the job done. And when you ask the consumer what they want, when you ask homeless people what they want, they never ask for a pill, a program, or protocol. They ask for one thing, a place to live. So if the consumer wants it, and we create that product, they'll go into that house.
Okay. In Washington, D.C., which is the nation's capital and obviously should be a model for the rest of the country, are the statistics pretty much similar to every other city that you've been to?
I think in Washington, we're just in the first throes of implementing the 10-year plan, which is shaped around results. And as we know, Mayor Fenty has just announced a desire to invest $19.2 million to create the kind of housing that's necessary. If that investment is made by the City Council, if that's carried out, if that's implemented, I think Washington, D.C. will begin to see the kinds of results and outcomes that other cities are seeing. That is, a reduction in the number of people living on the streets and languishing in the shelters. So the newness of the implementation in Washington has it a little bit behind other cities who have achieved greater results, but certainly the resolve and the political will of the mayor are obviously there. Whenever a political official puts their resources where their rhetoric is, that's a good thing.
What example can you give of a city in our U.S. that you've been to that has made the most dramatic improvements over the period of time that you've been involved in this?
Well, I think the good news for Washington, D.C. is that there are a number of cities of Washington's size that are, in fact, creating results. I think of Seattle, Washington, where there's been about a 20% decrease on the streets. Denver, Colorado, where there's been about a 34% reduction in chronic homelessness. Certainly Portland, Oregon, which is the high achiever in the country with a 70% reduction. St. Louis, Missouri, that has about a 40% reduction. Dallas, which has a reduction. Miami's had a significant reduction. So there are a number of cities, and I think what we're challenged to do is to make pilgrimages to these cities to find out, revive that ancient art of pilgrimage, go to those cities, find out what the investments are that are creating those kinds of results, and then ensure that they come back to a place like Washington, a place like Fort Worth, a place like Miami or Denver. That's what's happening around our country. We're learning from one another. There are no intellectual property rights that we have to worry about in stealing the best ideas.
Right.
That's what's happening, and that art of legitimate larceny is carrying the day in ensuring that the most innovative ideas are at work for homeless people.
So imitation is definitely the sincerest form of valor in this particular case.
Well, absolutely. There's no question that simply replicating what works, investing in innovations that are field-tested and evidence-based, it just makes sense. It makes common sense for homeless people, and it makes dollars and cents for the taxpayer. It's a good idea.
How can people follow up if they want to be involved and help you to implement your visions and come up with some other ways in which they can adapt in their own hometowns? How can they do this by the web or by other means?
Well, I think one of the most immediate ways is to get involved in the 10-year planning process in whatever city you're in. There's a 10-year plan, for example, here in Washington, D.C., and people can get involved in that. You can get involved in some of the innovative initiatives like the Housing First initiative that's unfolding here. People can get involved through their faith community. A number of faith communities here in Washington and around our country are involved in moving beyond a charitable response to a solution-oriented response. So we're encouraging people to move beyond what we've done in the past that hasn't worked, to embrace what is working and invest their lives there.
Okay, it sounds like you've actually experienced all of these things. You've seen it from the beginning to now, and you've seen a lot of improvement. Washington, D.C.'s got a lot to be encouraged about, and you're here, and I'd love to see you come back again. I mean, you're so full of life and so encouraging. I mean, people are, I'm sure, are pumped to go out there and do something tonight as a result of your presentation.
People should be encouraged because there are innovative ideas. 10 years ago, we deserved to be demoralized because there was nothing that we could invest our resources. We didn't know how to get the job done. Now, if we're still warehousing people, and our best responses are church basement shelters and meal programs, shame on us, because the innovative ideas are there to be invested in that get the job done. That's what's encouraging people. We've moved from being demoralized, that the issue was intractable, to being remoralized, that change is possible. That's where we all want to be. I think that's what's creating the excitement around our country and here in Washington, D.C.